remember a time early in my career when I tried to launch a company with a team that seemed full of energy and promise on the surface. We were all bright, brimming with ideas, and passionately discussing how we would disrupt the industry. Yet as we dove deeper into execution, I realized that the circle of people I had surrounded myself with wasn't as united as I initially believed. Some members were only excited about the concept of success, but not the commitment and grit it would take to get there. Others thrived on pointing out every possible roadblock rather than seeking solutions. We had huge plans, revolutionary, game-changing visions that we pitched in meetings, but behind closed door, there were constant doubts and complaints at too many what ifs and not enough how tough. At one point, I found myself leading a project that was limping along not because the technology was flawed, but because our collaborative energy had fractured. Instead of uplifting one another, fell into a vicious cycle of blame and pessimism. I recall standing in a half-empty office at midnight, staring at a whiteboard filled with unresolved issues, thinking, maybe this really isn't going to work. It felt like the wind had been sucked out of my entrepreneurial sails. Worse, I realized that we had chosen each other without full assessing how our mindsets aligned. That was my wake-up call. It wasn't enough to have a brilliant idea. You also needed people who could encourage and energize you at every turn. People could see the opportunity, even in the darkest moment. I realized I had to change not just structure the business, but also the people I counted on most. It didn't happen overnight, but my breakthrough moment came when I witnessed how a few positive, solution-oriented partners could shift an entire team's momentum. We brought in new folks with can-do attitudes who believed in the project at a fundamental level, and the entire environment improved. Work felt lighter. Obstacles no longer stopped us in our tracks. They simply required creative ways around them. That was when it became crystal clear. If you choose wisely and surround yourself right front with collaborators and supporters, the trajectory of your mission can change drastically. I know many of you in this room have dreams and visions that feel bigger than life. Perhaps you want to start a new business. Maybe you're hoping to transform your current venture into something extraordinary. Or perhaps you're just seeking to lead a more satisfying personal life. Whatever your path, you've probably seen that who you keep close matters just as much as the plans you have. My story is not so different from yours. We share a desire to maximize our potential and do something that makes a real difference in the world. The point is, it's never just about the product or service. It's about the energy and unity of the people behind it. You join me in forging a new path. Let's explore how we can strategically surround ourselves with positive, uplifting individuals who amplify our strengths and encourage us to innovate relentlessly. Let's dig into fresh perspectives on cultivating relationships that fuel growth instead of stagnation. Let's discover how we can all become that positive force for others. Believe this approach can redefine not only your entrepreneurial journey, but also how you engage with life. But by the end of our time together, I'm confident you'll have the insight and motivation to build a circle that propels you forward rather than dragging you back. And once we commit to this together, the possibilities become far greater than we can imagine. Now, let's delve deeper into the core of what it means to choose our friends wisely and how the right networks shape us to the best versions of ourselves. First, let's explore the power of our connections through a lens of discovery. Picture yourself at a crossroads where every decision is influenced by the people around you. Some urging you to think bigger. Some draining your energy. Others challenging you to step outside your comfort zone. There is a learning process in identifying who is genuinely supportive and who inadvertently keeps you stuck. As we dive into these concepts, we'll uncover why those relationships matter more than we might initially realize, and how a single interaction can inspire a grand opportunity or undercut our grandest ambitions. Have you ever asked yourself if you really know who your primary influencers are on a day-to-day basis? This question opens the door to startling self-analysis. We often assume we're in full control of our choices. In reality, our surrounding voices either affirm or doubt what we set out to achieve. Even the strongest among us can be swayed by the attitudes we absorb every day. If someone repeatedly tells you your plan is too risky, negativity can seep into your subconscious, making you second-guess your every move. Conversely, if someone encourages you to iterate on your ideas and keep pushing forward, those words of support become fuel that propels you through daunting challenges. Several years ago, I encountered a case study about a small tech startup that struggled for months to secure funding. Founded and assembled a team that was technically adept but severely lacking in cooperative spirit. Their daily interactions were rife with negativity, from remarks about how tough the market was, complaints about the product features never being quite good enough. Investors noticed the undercurrent pessimism. Even though the startup had a promising prototype, they kept striking out in pitch meetings. It wasn't until they overhauled their culture, brought in fresh talent, and established a system of mutual support that potential funders started seeing them as a viable bet. When asked what changed, One of the founders commented that having even just a few new colleagues who consistently ask, how can we improve this, rather than why is this so hard, made all the difference. What can we learn from that scenarios? On the surface, it's about collaboration. If we dig deeper, it's about a shift from a mindset of constant doubt to one of curiosity and positivity. Shift doesn't merely happen by reading self-help articles or adopting a temporary motivational slogan. It takes surrounding yourself with individuals who see the potential in every stumbling block. It means being in a space where solutions are more common than complaints and where each challenge is viewed as a puzzle to be solved rather than a reason to throw in the towel. There's also a compelling analysis of how our brains respond to negativity versus positivity. Neuroscientists tell us that repeated exposure to discouraging feedback lights up regions in the brain associated with stress and anxiety. This, in turn, hampers creative thinking. On the other hand, consistent positive reinforcement engages areas of the brain tied to problem solving and innovation. It's like a hidden superpower. If you're around people who are consistently supportive, you're far more likely to think beyond limitations. Practically, this means consciously curating your inner circle. Look at your daily environment. Closest friends, the kind of people who talk about ideas and possibilities, or do they moan about why life is unfair? If we want to level up in life, we need to become intentional gatekeepers for the influences we let in. An approach is to take stock of key relationships by journaling interactions for a week. Jot down how you feel after spending time with each person as are drained, inspired, or discouraged. Over time, patterns emerge that can guide you to either nurture those relationships more deeply or create healthy boundaries where necessary. When we realize that even one voice of positivity in a sea of doubt can spark enormous progress, we start to see why choosing the right circle is essential for long-term success. It's like that single ray of sunlight breaking through a cloudy day, reminding you that clearer skies are within reach. Sure, you handle negativity on your own for a while, but having an ally in your corner who consistently lifts you accelerates your journey tenfold. And that leads to a breakthrough conclusion. The environment you cultivate from your personal life to your professional sphere is a key determinant in how far and how fast you can grow. One of my favorite reminders comes from Henry Ford, who said, "You think you can or you think you can't, you're right." By associating with people who encourage the belief that you can, you're setting the stage for an exponential leap in your capacity to accomplish great things. That is the crux of this first insight. Discovery begins with acknowledging that we are deeply affected by those around us. Once we see it, we can consciously forge a path to surround ourselves with those who help us soar. Now, let's transition to a deeper story-driven approach. It's one thing to understand intellectually that surrounding yourself with positive individuals makes a difference, but it becomes more tangible when we see it play out as a narrative in real life. Share an experience that shifted my perspective on what friendship and professional collaboration could truly mean. Several years ago, I was deep in an intensive project at SpaceX. The stakes felt sky high, no pun intended. We had a major launch on the horizon, and the slightest flaw in our approach could spell disaster. I had a colleague back then who was extremely detail-oriented. He'd list every possible failure mode and cross-check them incessantly. At first, I perceived him as someone who was overly negative, always spotting the problems. But as I got to know him better, realized he was an invaluable asset, not because he doubted our capacity to succeed, but because he was passionate about preventing mistakes. He approached challenges with a certain excitement, almost as though each potential pitfall was an invitation to innovate a better system. His brand of positivity was masked under an analytical personality. He wasn't a cheerleader by any means, but he always said, "Fix this," after identifying each flaw. That was story hook. The moment I realized that positivity isn't always about being loud or exuberant. It can be embedded in a methodical approach that ultimately lifts the entire team. As our collaboration deepened, the situation developed into a synergy I never anticipated. I started to see that what united us was a shared vision of success, even if our personalities were different. Every morning, we'd gather around a table to discuss the day's tasks. There was an unspoken trust that if one of us saw a crack in the system, the other would help patch it up rather than blame someone for it. We weren't just colleagues. We became friends who understood that the mission transcended any single individual. Of course, challenges kept piling up. Rocket science is complicated. We encountered everything from propulsion anomalies to supply chain hiccups. In those challenges and solutions lay the real power of surrounding yourself with people who have problems constructively. It wasn't that we magically avoided stress. We faced it head on. Each day ended with a sense of progress. On some occasions, we failed test after test, but never once did we fail to pick ourselves up and plan another approach. This culture of resilience was rooted in the mutual respect and optimism we had cultivated. I learned critical lessons in that time frame. If you invite people to your orbit who share not only your ambition, but also your sense of purpose and positivity, Even the toughest days feel surmountable. Every stumbling block became a stepping stone. By aligning ourselves with the right individuals, we collectively built a support system that magnified our strengths and mitigated our weaknesses. The mission succeeded in ways that outlived the initial goals of that specific project. We carried that collaborative spirit into future ventures, forging an environment where creative risks could be taken with unwavering support. As I reflect on that journey, the audience connection here is straightforward of us in our own sphere can cultivate or erode an atmosphere of trust and encouragement. Often quick to assume that we either have the right team or we don't, that we either have supportive friends or we don't. But in reality, we can shape our relationships by consistently demonstrating genuine care, offering constructive feedback, and showing up when it matters. If you model a positive and solution-focused attitude, you attract others who either share those values already or are inspired to adopt them. And in those moments when you feel your energy drained by naysayers, you can lean on those who restore your sense of possibility. The core take of the story away is that the story of any ambitious endeavor hinges on the people who help write it. Show me your friends and I'll show you your future. Might sound like a cliche, but it resonates because it's true. In short, each of us holds the pen, and our greatest allies are those who whisper, keep writing, chapters yet to come. Next, let's step into a deeper analysis of why positivity in our circle is critical, but this time through the lens of data, market trends, extensive research that shed light on how the people around us can either accelerate or hinder our personal and professional growth. Studies indicate that individuals who maintain a strong network of supportive peers tend to have higher levels of creative output and resilience. In a multi-year study conducted by Harvard researchers on social well-being, it was revealed that positivity from peers directly correlates with increased innovation. 62% of participants who reported having at least 3 strongly supportive friends or colleagues experienced a boost in problem-solving abilities. Meanwhile, among participants who did not have a supportive circle, that boost was nearly negligible. This is not a trivial difference. It's a striking illustration of how our environment shapes our capability to think outside the box. Market trends back this up. It's recognized for fostering a positive, collaborative culture and outperform their competition in key metrics like time to market for new products, employee retention, and customer satisfaction. We see in the tech sector time and again where small agile ups with a cohesive, uplifting team can outmaneuver bigger corporations that fail to maintain a supportive internal culture. Some of the most disruptive companies of the last decade, they didn't just rely on cutting-edge technology. They built communities of like-minded, visionary people who believed in the impossible. Products were a result of collective energy, shared optimism, and a mutual agreement that failure is just another step toward success. Delving into in-depth research, we find that humans are wired to mirror the emotional states of those around them. It's often referred to as emotional contagion. If you're surrounded by cynicism, you'll likely adopt a more pessimistic outlook, consciously or not. Conversely, if you spend time in a group that consistently frames challenges and opportunities, you'll soon find yourself doing the same. This is why certain incubators and co-working spaces become hotbeds of innovation. They cultivate a vibe that fosters creativity because of failure and perpetual learning. From a practical standpoint, seeking out spaces where positivity thrives is a strategic move. If you're building a startup, you might choose an incubator known for its collaborative environment. If you're looking to elevate your professional life, consider joining communities, online or offline, where the discussions revolve around solutions and possibilities. If you're aiming for personal growth, align with friends who keep pushing themselves to learn new skills or who challenge you to break out of your comfort zone. When we apply these insights to the future, we see that as technology evolves, so does our capacity to connect with people from diverse backgrounds. We're moving into a realm where remote collaboration is becoming the norm. It's no longer about who physically sits next to you in an office. It's about who shares your enthusiasm and determination, whether they're located in the same city or halfway around the world. Virtual communities, driven by the right culture, be major accelerators of personal growth. Just imagine the possibilities. You could be collaborating with a brilliant engineer in Japan, a marketing genius in Brazil, and a design prodigy in Sweden, all unified by a common positive energy. This borderless reality underscores the importance of carefully picking who you let into your digital sphere just as much as your physical one. Taking all these findings into account, we can project that our ability to innovate and stay resilient will continue to hinge on the emotional and intellectual climate we create around us. If anything, in a world that's rapidly shifting and full of unpredictability, the power of a supportive network becomes even more critical. When changes happen at breakneck speed, negativity and doubt can freeze a team in place. A community that believes in forward motion will pivot seamlessly, harnessing that change to create something groundbreaking. This leads us to a clear conclusion. Data and trends confirm that surrounding ourselves with positive People isn't just a feel-good notion. It's a proven strategy for heightened innovation, adaptability, and sustained success. Consider these words from Richard Branson: clients do not come first. Employees come first. If you take care of your employees, they will take care of the clients. While this pertains to business, the underlying principle applies to personal networks as well. You take care of the people around you, and they take care of you in return. Everything else flourishes. Now let's move into an interactive perspective. I want you to engage in a thought exercise and close your eyes, if that's comfortable, or simply imagine a circle of people in your life who consistently push you to be better. See their faces, recall their words of encouragement, feel the lift in your spirit they provide. Now expand that circle, picture yourself actively adding new individuals who possess the qualities of optimism, ingenuity, and kindness. Expanded circle, transform your day to day life. What decisions would you be more willing to make if you knew you had unwavering support? Group discussion often reveals we are not alone in seeking this kind of uplifting environment. While we might think our situations are unique, conversation with peers can quickly highlight shared struggles and collective desires to feel more supported. In a workshop I once hosted, participants were asked to share personal stories of when someone's supportive gesture made a crucial difference. The testimonies were heartfelt and varied. A student credited a teacher's encouragement for a decision to pursue aerospace engineering. A manager spoke of a mentor who redirected his focus just when he was about to quit. Entrepreneur shared that a friend's words of hope propelled her to pitch to a major investor. Time and again, these accounts showed how a single spark of positivity could alter the course of an entire journey. Experience is a potent way to feel the magnitude of how others lift us or weigh us down. When a group of people come together and openly discuss not just their successes, also their vulnerabilities and lessons learned, it fosters an atmosphere of trust and authenticity. It's a space where we realize that positivity is not about sugarcoating reality. It's about acknowledging the challenges while choosing to believe in our collective capacity to overcome them. Practice can involve something as simple as establishing weekly accountability calls with a friend who motivates you. During these calls, each person can discuss goals, obstacles, and triumphs. The role of positivity here isn't to ignore problems, but to continuously remind one another that solutions exist. You might be surprised at how quickly these conversations shift from complaining about barriers to strategizing ways through them. Another practical exercise is forming small mastermind groups where members bring diverse skills to the table. Diversity in backgrounds, experiences, and mindsets, when unified by positivity, can yield innovations none of us would conceive in isolation. At the end of each session or discussion, we synthesize our learning. We realize that when we actively engage in forging bonds of positive people, we practice a sort of mental hygiene. We filter out the destructive narratives that creep into our lives and reinforce the constructive ones. This synergy can make a dramatic difference in how we approach personal goals or navigate business ventures. Ultimately, the learning summary here is straightforward. Actively participating and interacting with a community of uplifting individuals, we gain firsthand experience of how positivity transforms challenges into stepping stones. We don't have to journey alone, nor should we. The more we openly share, brainstorm, and encourage one another, the more we realize that any aspiration becomes more achievable. When our circle exudes optimism, our resilience skyrockets, our creativity flourishes, and our willingness to keep pushing forward intensifies. And this is not mere theory, it's a practical reality that unfolds whenever people come together with a shared determination to champion each other's success. Finally, arrive at a more problem-solving perspective where we identify the core challenges that arise when we neglect the importance of choosing friends wisely, and then lay out a concrete action plan to overcome them. Major challenge is the insidious nature of negative influences. They can seem harmless at first, a subtle comment here, a cynical remark there. But over time, these seeds of doubt grow, leading us to question our capabilities or the viability of our dreams. Another challenge is complacency within our social circles. If everyone in your immediate network is content with a certain level of mediocrity, it's very easy to stay in that comfort zone, limiting your potential breakthroughs. Root cause analysis often uncovers that these challenges persist because we're social creatures who crave acceptance. We might fear distancing ourselves from long-standing connections, even if those connections hold us back. I might also assume that good friends should accept us as we are, realizing that true friends also challenge us to evolve. If no one in your circle is saying, you can do more, let's brainstorm how, it's worth asking yourself, why not? Solution proposals start with honest self-audits. Ask, do my closest allies push me to grow, or do they reinforce any tendency to settle for less? If it's the latter, it's time to broaden your network. Attend events or join online forums that align with your goals, whether it's entrepreneurship, design, science, or community activism. Look for mentors who exemplify the virtues you want to cultivate. Resilience, curiosity, kindness, ambition. Mentee relationships can be incredibly powerful. A mentor can help you see beyond your immediate constraints while you bring fresh ideas and enthusiasm to their perspective. Friendships formed on the basis of mutual growth tend to be stronger and more enduring because they're anchored in shared endeavors. The next step is an action plan. It might start small, initiating a monthly meetup with people who inspire you. Over time, this can evolve into more structured collaborations or joint ventures, where everyone gains from shared knowledge and shared energy. Set clear intentions for these gatherings. Maybe you decide to solve one problem each time, be it a business challenge or a personal hurdle. Keep track of progress. Celebrate collective wins. Remain vigilant about destructive attitudes that might creep in. Consistency is key because building a supportive circle is an ongoing journey, not a one-off event. The more consistent you are, the deeper the trust and the more remarkable the results. You also want to define success metrics for your network. Success could be measured in how often you feel motivated after interactions, how many innovative ideas emerge from your discussions, or how quickly you bounce back from setbacks with groups backing. If you notice these metrics dropping, it's a sign that you may need to recalibrate. This might mean addressing issues head on, perhaps there's tension or negativity creeping in, or even making the tough call to limit your exposure to individuals who persistently drag you down. Adopt this proactive problem-solving mindset. You transform your soul circle from a random assemblage of acquaintances into a high-performance support system. As Eleanor Roosevelt famously said, minds discuss ideas, average minds discuss events, small minds discuss people. By striving for greatness in your circle, you cultivate a culture of consistent forward momentum. Ideas flourish and meaningful progress is celebrated, and that ultimately is how you harness the unparalleled power of choosing friends wisely. You don't just protect yourself from negativity, you also position yourself for extraordinary growth with these insights, data, stories, interactive experiences, and solutions in mind. Let's look at the horizon that awaits us if we commit to surrounding ourselves with uplifting individuals. The future is shaped by those who dream with clarity and act with determination. And that dream is accelerated when it's supported by the right people. This new paradigm of friendship is not about counting how many friends we have, but rather ensuring the few we do have are aligned with our goals, values, and unwavering belief in possibility. When your inner circle vibrates at a high frequency of optimism, problem solving, and mutual respect, you can't help but rise to meet whatever challenges come your way. The real question is, where do we go from here? And how do we sustain this momentum over the long term? My vision for the future is one where more people recognize that building positive ecosystems, both personal and professional, has ripple effects far beyond any single individual. Imagine a world where every entrepreneur has a supportive inner circle, propels them to keep iterating on life, changing ideas. Envision communities where the conversation is dominated out. Let's figure it out rather than it's not possible. Picture families who push each other to keep learning, keep striving, believing that tomorrow's solutions are waiting to be discovered. In short, a global wave of creativity and empathy fueled by networks of people who choose to see the best in one another. This might sound idealistic. It's absolutely within our grasp if we each play our part. Of course, it won't be a seamless journey. So the challenge arises. Real life has a way of testing our resolve. We might face financial constraints that tempt us to give up on new ventures. We might encounter personal specs that make us question whether we're the right path at all. Our circle, as supportive as it may be, can't fix everything for us. Yet it can give us the resilience to persist when we'd otherwise quit. It can provide fresh ideas that unlock hidden doors. It can remind us of our worth when circumstances undermine our self-belief. The challenge, then, is maintaining the discipline to nurture and protect this circle. That might mean politely distancing yourself from toxic relationships, setting boundaries to prevent negativity from overwhelming you, regularly renewing your commitment to be a source of positivity yourself. And in that sense, let me reaffirm my support for you, just as I've been fortunate to receive support in my own life. I believe in the collective power of dreamers, visionaries, and yes, realists who choose to see the glass half full because they know the future belongs to those who keep it that way. You're not alone in this endeavor. There are countless communities, mentors, and peers out there who share your longing for a higher level of engagement, creativity, and success. Seek them out. Contribute your uniqueness to those circles. The more we engage with like-minded individuals, the more we amplify each other's potential. And I'm committed to championing that ethos whenever I have the platform and ability to do so. Whether it's through online resources, local meetups, or global conferences, I will continue to encourage people to build networks that serve as launch pads for big ideas and meaningful impacts. As we near the end of our conversation, let's end on an inspiring note. It's short. The world can be a complex, sometimes disheartening place. But in the midst of all that, we have a profound power, the ability to choose whom where we spend our time, whose words we allow to echo in our minds, whose energy we let fuel or drain our spirits. My greatest wish is that each of us, collectively and individually, uses that power wisely. If we choose our friends wisely and commit to surrounding ourselves with people who are not just positive but constructively uplifting, we stand at the threshold of extraordinary possibility. This is your invitation to step boldly into that new reality. Reflect on the stories we shared, the data we examined, the interactive exercises that sparked an image in your mind, and the solutions we proposed, guide you in taking practical steps to revitalize your circle and fortify your dreams. And remember, you're not going to do this alone. There's a word out of people full who will resonate with your goals, who will push you to go further, and who will celebrate every inch of progress you make. All it takes is conviction to look beyond the familiar comfort zone and actively choose the companions who will walk with you to the sum of your aspirations. So here's to an extraordinary future shaped by extraordinary friendships. May the relationships you cultivate become the bedrock of your boldest endeavors. May you, in turn, a beacon of hope and support for those who cross your path. And may we all come together, forging bonds that carry us past our doubts, straight into the realm of what's possible. The world needs the full extent of your talents, and the right circle of friends will make sure you never hesitate to bring them to light. Together, we can create an upward spiral of innovation, resilience, and unwavering optimism, one friendship at a time. Go forth, choose those friends wisely. The journey ahead is ours to make remarkable.